success to me is just working through it. I had 2 months of not selling anything.
Yeah.
But never in those 2 months did I ever think I was not going to do it or I was going to quit. And, but yeah, it's just that never give up attitude.
Welcome to the Media Corps Minute Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Langmaid. Today in the studio, joined by Jeffery Price, president of Rochester Concrete Products. And how you doing this beautiful morning?
I'm doing wonderful. It's spring.
It's spring.
Yeah.
I did see a little bit of snow yet today, though.
I know.
Minnesota doesn't know what to do yet.
It doesn't. It's Mother Nature's being a little mean to us right now, I'd say.
It is. I was trying to think back to the first time that you and I met, and I think I was originally met with your brother on the very first time, and then we decided we wanted to do a product or a project, and then I sat down with you. I think that was the first time that we connected.
It was a couple of years ago.
It was
probably 3, 4. Yeah,
I know. I think it was 2, 3, something like that. It had to be at least 3.
Yeah,
that's pretty wild. Time flies.
COVID happened.
COVID happened. Yeah, we just missed a year from that.
I know. It was Yeah.
Well, this is fun. We ripped out 20 podcasts, and then we kind of just took a break over the winter. So I'm like, people were asking, what's going on. So we're back at it.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
We're excited. I was excited to have you on.
Yeah.
You've been on my list for a while, and
good.
And yeah. So before we get kind of into things. For the listeners, what is Rochester Concrete Products, and what kind of things do you guys do?
So Rochester Concrete Products is a manufacturer. It's one of the companies that I own with my brothers, and we make landscape materials, pavers, retaining walls, outdoor kitchens. We manufacture the products in our plants, and then we sell them to distributors that then in turn sell them to landscapers and homeowners.
Yeah. And there's been probably a lot of companies down the road that have evolved and come about because of it.
Oh yeah, yes, and we kind of view it as more of our parent business. But years ago, it used to be known as Rochester Silo.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we were in agriculture, and
has it always been in Rochester?
It
original
has.
Plant?
Yeah, so. My grandfather was a farmer in Thorpe, Wisconsin.
Okay.
And in those days, he would sell silos and then farm. And he was such a successful salesperson that he could keep a silo plant busy enough with just him selling.
Oh, wow.
So a company here in Rochester came for sale, Rochester Silo. And in 1959, he bought it and moved his family here.
So you guys are third generation owners?
We are,
then?
yes.
Okay. And kind of jumping back a little bit, then, Grandpa started. He bought that, and how did it evolve from silos into the concrete products that you're doing now?
Yeah. So. The silo company was a big business. We had at one time over 500 employees.
Oh, wow.
And we would make the staves and fabricate the steel, and then we would go out and construct the silos.
Yeah.
Well, in the early 80s, the farm economy it was a disaster with high interest rates. And so that market started to tumble. And then an opportunity came up in the mid-80s to start making retaining wall block.
Okay.
And so in the mid-80s, we got into that. And
who is bringing that interest?
Well, it was a cheaper way to build retaining walls. At that time, all walls were cast in place, which was extremely expensive. And so segmental retaining walls replaced that as just a more cost-effective way to build a retaining wall. And we were the first ones with an inventor that started the industry. We developed it with that person. And
Wow.
It's been fun ever since.
Right. So when did your dad then kind of jump on board with Grandpa?
So my grandfather purchased the business in 1959.
Okay.
And he had 4 children. My father, Jerry, and my uncle Ray joined the family business, and my dad and uncle had 2 sisters.
Okay.
And then my dad went to St. Thomas, and so did my uncle. And after they graduated in the mid-'60s, came and joined the business.
Right
my grandfather only had an 8th grade education.
Really?
Yeah. So it was real important to him that his children went to college.
Mm-hmm.
And then when my father and uncle came back, they grew the business.
Isn't that crazy how it wasn't uncommon, for people, back then to have that, because it was just in school, get to work.
Yeah,
got to be out working.
I think it was a lot of those depression age children and yeah.
We were just where were we at? 45 minutes from here, and we were interviewing a company that's doing a 100-year video. So obviously multiple generations, and one of the fun stories was like, you just got to an age and you're just like, yep, I'm not going to keep going to school. I just got to start working. Mm-hmm. And that's just how they did it. Mm-hmm. So you were also then, were you born and raised here in Rochester?
I was, yes. I was.
Okay.
I was born here in Rochester, and went to kindergarten at Bamber Valley, which has grown quite a bit in size since I was there. And then I was in the Catholic school system, so I went to St. John's and then graduated from Lourdes High School at the old location.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How was it growing up just with the family business for you guys? Was that like summer times you were working, or what did that look like?
Yeah, I did, yeah. So in the summers, my senior year I worked at the plant. I would clean the mixer. Do some. I attempted to drive forklift, but I ended up dumping too many pallets. So
like you're not doing that.
I was not a forklift driver
That's
by any
great.
means. And but yeah, it was summers here in Rochester were awesome. I love the Rochester community. I feel very fortunate to grow up here. I had a great group of friends growing up, and did a lot of hanging out.
So then after high school, was there also then want to go to college? Anybody pushing for that? Or
it was kind of more, I would say, in my family, like an expectation. Like the next thing after high school was college. And I ended up going to the University of St. Thomas, which I'm really excited. They're building an arena right now, and they're going to have a D1 hockey program in basketball.
That's awesome.
So that'll be fun. And one of the best things I did in college was I had the opportunity to travel abroad. And,
very cool.
I spent a half a year in London, and it really helped me to understand how to navigate different countries.
No doubt.
And it's really helped us in our business today because we have a lot of partnerships with companies all over the world. And it was from that we were able to do that.
So were there other places or just London that you went?
Yeah, so I studied in London, and that big airport there, Heathrow, so we would travel on the weekends. That was probably the coolest thing was our professor. If you remember years ago, there was a company called Audio King. It was kind of like before Best Buy really became Best Buy. And he was our professor, and he came to class the first day, and he said, all right, here's the deal. I'm not going to assign you guys any homework. Mm-hmm. He says, you have class. I expect you to be here on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, travel.
Really?
Yeah, just be gone.
That's awesome.
And so that's what we did.
Wow. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was great. Mm-hmm.
I mean, in college and stuff like that, I guess, what did you go for?
I was business administration, Yep.
So was there always kind of a plan to come back into the family business, or was it?
Yeah.
What did that look like?
Well, see, our family business at that time, it really went down in size. There was a period of time where we had less than 10 employees.
Really?
So it went from 500 employees during silo down to 10 just with agriculture. So when I was in college, it really wasn't necessarily a big thought that I would go into the business. I knew it was there. But around my senior year, when I started looking for jobs, my dad came to me and said, hey, if you come back, I'll kind of let you do what you want to do. I'll mentor you, but you can make your own decisions.
Right.
And that was really awesome as a 22-year-old kid, being able to say, wow, I can make my mark on something.
Yeah.
And so that's the main reason why I came back. But it wasn't my first thought when I was initially going to school.
Right. Which is cool.
Yeah.
So when do you think, you figured out you had that entrepreneurial spirit, the business side, the growth side? When did you realize that you kind of had that?
Oh, gosh. I don't know if I ever realized that's a great question.
Because a lot of times, like people will, we've heard it develops, we heard the people selling stuff at the schools, just hustling in high school. And then, the people that are, don't really, really fully jump into it until they started, found out how exciting it was, and then really took interest. And so it's kind of all over the board,
Yeah, I would say I can tell you the first time I went out selling, it was hard.
Yeah.
And I could remember, and I was a little bit of a know-it-all when I graduated college. Like, I'm going to show these people how it's done.
Yep.
And I could remember the first month and a half, I didn't sell a thing.
Okay.
But I had all the answers. And finally, after those miserable weeks, I finally called my father after I got denied again. And I could remember he said something to me. He said, are you finally ready to listen? And I was like, yeah. And the next day I went out and I made 2 sales.
Wow.
And really it was from learning from him and being able to have successes that I was able to really look at it and be like, wow, I can do this. And yeah.
Is that kind of the first thing that you did coming back, was that sales position?
I was.
Okay.
Yeah. I was very outgoing as a youngster, very positive, energetic, and that works quite well if you're in sales.
Right. So, and what were you selling at the time, and to who?
Yeah. So at that time, we were just a retaining wall company.
Okay.
And so I was
like putting them together, or,
Yep.
or making the block?
No, just making the product.
Okay. Yep.
So, and I was selling that to landscapers.
Right. And how big of a territory did you kind of go? Or?
Well, my first territory was Chicago.
Wow.
So yeah, my father put me up. We have a plant in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin.
Okay.
And so for 3 months, I lived out of the Super 8 hotel in Beaver Dam. And every week I would drive down to Chicago.
Wow.
And it was hard. But I think it was one of those things that, kind of being thrown into it.
Especially in sales too. I mean, that's trial by fire right there.
It was
you got to
brutal,
figure it out.
but I think with all the different entrepreneurs you've had on this podcast, it's about never giving up. Mm-hmm. And I mean, to me, people, success to me is just working through it. I had 2 months of not selling anything.
Yeah.
But never in those 2 months did I ever think I was not going to do it or I was going to quit. I got discouraged, but it was more like, okay, I must be doing this wrong or this. Let's figure out what I'm missing here. And, but yeah, it's just that never give up attitude.
Well, I think anybody in sales will recognize too that it's very discouraging when you're not selling, and then it's low lows and high highs, because when you are, then you're just riding on top of the clouds.
Oh, it was
very exciting.
It was. I could remember a time, and if anyone's ever had to work the phones before, me and a buddy, Andy Jones, we worked at the company one summer in high school, and we used to make phone calls. We used to cold call.
Yeah.
And we would put a case of beer on the line if we could talk to 5 people in a row. That's how hard it was to get people on the phone. And I think only one of us bought a case of beer that summer, and I think I bought it for him.
That's great. So kind of transitioning, how does it look over the years, doing sales initially, when do you start moving into different things or management or how does the transition there look like?
Yeah. So I was very fortunate to have my father as my mentor.
Yeah.
After I was in just regular sales for the company, meeting with landscapers on the retaining wall side, we had a licensing company.
Okay.
And then I went into that, and what we do there is we go out and we teach manufacturers like ourselves how to sell and manufacture our products. And so did that until I was about 26. And then...
so you were teaching other manufacturers how to make what you guys are making?
Yep.
So what was the thought there?
Well, so we all have similar equipment, similar machines.
Yep.
So making the product isn't extremely difficult. You just need the molds to do so. And then we have the different mix designs that they can use to manufacture the product. So you would give that to the manufacturing team. But the more important part was after the product is made, getting it out of that manufacturer's yard. So they want to make it again. So I would spend most of my time with their sales team, getting them trained on how to sell the product and teach them what a landscaper is, what a distributor is that sells to landscapers. And then we would also go out and train their local engineers on how to design with our products. And yeah, I did that until 2006.
And these are other companies that you guys didn't own, though, right?
Yes, we did not own them, but they were very similar to us. They'd have our type equipment. A lot of them were called block companies, so they would make concrete block for basements or buildings, and then this would just be an auxiliary product that they would produce.
And you were kind of like hiring them to make even more products that you guys were using?
No. So what we would do is we would go and give them a license.
Okay.
So they would be like a franchise, but not a franchise.
Right.
So we would license them. We called them an authorized manufacturing dealership.
Okay.
And then they would make the products in their local market. They would pay us a royalty, or
that makes sense.
Yep. They pay us a royalty still, and then they go out and sell the products.
I was catching up there because I was like, you're equipping your competition then to do.
Yeah.
I'm like, where are you making the money? Okay, that
right.
makes sense.
It's a royalty.
Yeah. No, that's great. I bet. I mean, even that you got to learn a ton. Educating people is no small task.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time, and it's just you learn as you go. One year I went on the road with an engineer from a geogrid company that. Our products we call it geogrid, it's soil reinforcement. And just spending that summer traveling with this individual, I learned so much from the engineering side. It's just, it's experience. Life's a bunch of experiences.
It is. Have you always been one to just, soak up information, just learn?
I love that, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of just all the aspects, try to understand it and how it works. And
I have all the the pointless facts that come up at parties. I'm big into those.
Did you know? Yeah.
Did you know? Yeah, and everybody's like, don't really care.
Yeah, right. So, as you go, is there a point where you had to, buy in, or how did ownership structure start to transition? What'd that look like?
Yeah. So my dad was real big into allowing myself and my brothers to buy in early. And his thought is, you are going to create a lot of value in the business.
Right.
And it would be hard for me too to create all this value and just make it more expensive for me to buy.
Yeah.
And so,
that's a great point.
I started buying in right away. I mean, the first year and a half I was there, I was able to purchase a sixth of the business.
Wow.
So
before you started buying in, how'd the ownership look?
It was my father and uncle.
Okay. Just those two.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. So when did your brother start joining the company too?
So yeah, that's a great question. So I started in the summer of 1999.
Okay.
And then my oldest brother Chris would have come in 2001, and then my middle brother Brian I think came in 22. So, and it was an exciting time. The business was starting to grow.
Right.
And yeah.
Oh,
they came back,
cool.
and it was a fun time.
That's super cool. So what looking at the business now, what does your role look like now in the company as a president? Your job, what are you doing, kind of thing?
Yeah, so there's three main parts to what I do at the business. So I run the sales department. Marketing reports to me. We have a marketing director.
Yeah.
And then all new product development, we have a person that manages that, and then they report to me. So I do marketing, sales, and new product development. And then my brother Chris, he does operations and finance.
Okay.
So.
And is it just you two now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, my middle brother Brian left.
Okay.
And he started a company called Outdoor Living Supply about 2 years ago.
Right on.
So, and it's a nice business where he is buying landscape distributors.
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah.
Cool. Well, that's, yeah. No, I like it's always interesting hearing kind of the transition, the family story, how things, moved, and did you guys buy in kind of over time, just chunks, or was there like dad and uncle were, hey, we're done here, or was that just a big long?
No, it was there was a final. Yep. So Chris and I bought in initially.
Okay.
And then Brian came back, and then I can't remember. I think it was 2004. We bought the whole thing, but then it was a whole process and years of paying for it.
Right.
It took us a long time to pay for that sucker.
Yeah, that was a big company.
It wasn't a quick thing.
I always like the question now. You just think about everything that you're doing now, because it changed over time. But what motivates you now?
Oh, geez. Well, I like to win.
Yeah, I love
that. That's a big thing, but it's changing. I guess what's more motivating me now is just seeing people at our company have success, success in their job, and it's also neat to create products for the general masses that improves their connection to the environment. I mean, we're real big in the outdoor living space, and so many people now are working from home. They're entertaining from home, and it's just nice to see them go on their patios, reconnect with nature, and I just think it puts people in obviously better moods, and it's just better for us.
Have you seen an uptick since COVID and people working from home? Like, have they been investing into their yards and landscape more?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, COVID was extremely busy for us. I mean, we had that first year of COVID, we just couldn't make products fast enough.
Wow.
And we were dealing with labor issues at that time.
Yep.
And some supply chain, but it's been wonderful, and I that space is going to continue to grow as more and more people establish themselves working from home part-time. And it's just a good spot to be in.
Because you can definitely tell when you go to somebody's house and they have great landscaping. You also want that for yours. I mean, you go out and it's just fantastic. They got the grills and everything nowadays. It's wild what you can do.
Well, and it's the products have just gotten so much nicer too. I mean, our industry has really developed in the last 15 years, where what we're making today is just so much better than what it was.
Yeah, you can spend a lot of time outside.
Yeah, absolutely. We love it.
So thinking kind of, over the years, the journey, I'm assuming everything wasn't kind of just smooth sailing. What has maybe been some challenges that stuck out to you that you guys had to face and overcome just as any part of like your business journey?
Yeah. There's been a couple. I mean, we started as a retaining wall company.
Yeah.
And then I think the first big thing was just diversifying our line.
Right.
I think everyone on this podcast can be familiar. If you bought a family business, the family business goes through stages. And when we purchased the company, my father and uncle were more concerned with their living. They were pulling a large amount of cash out of the business for themselves, for their lifestyle, which I totally understand at that stage of life.
Yeah.
But they weren't spending a lot of money reinvesting in the business. So the first thing for us was, going out there, talking to customers to see what, their needs were, and developing products for them. So from retaining walls, we started making a product called Silver Creek. Mm-hmm. And then we also started making a product called our outdoor living kit line. And so that was a big challenge, was developing that. And then smack in the middle of that, we ended up losing a patent lawsuit.
Really?
Yes. And at the time, the judgment against us was more than our yearly revenue.
No.
And, yeah, it was a real tough ordeal to go through. And my only advice to people when going through something like that was you just keep on going. I mean, because it's scary, right? You're always worried that, are the lights going to be on the next day? Your employees are worried. I mean,
how do you take a financial hit like that?
Well, okay. It's a lawsuit. So after you lose, somebody's not right at your door collecting the money. There's a process. There's an appeal process. But it takes time. So you have time. And I'm fortunate enough that I have two extremely smart brothers that their job was to navigate the lawsuit. My job was to sell.
Right.
And so I went to the market and sold. And what was amazing is after we lost, we weren't sure if people would buy our products anymore.
Oh, okay.
And next thing we knew, they were our customers. They liked us. They bought from us because of our relationships. And everybody kept on buying. And it was just reassuring them that we were going to be here. And we structured a settlement. And we ended up paying the settlement. And we just moved on.
That's pretty wild.
It was wild. It was...
How long did that take?
Oh, I'd say a year and a half from probably the judgment to actually structuring the final settlement agreement.
Man.
Yeah, and it took us a long time to pay that off, and we did.
It had to be like scary initially. I mean, like you get slapped with one of those, you're going, what?
Well, yeah, it was very it's
do?
Like, how do you do it?
Yeah.
You become really close with your banker, and you just navigate it. It's, I truly believe that business success is about hard work. It's about just never giving up, seeing the opportunity. I think where people fall down is they're so focused maybe on the problem or something that they don't control.
Yeah.
And what we did is we just stayed out there. We kept on developing products. And within 3 years after the lawsuit, we were stronger than before. And the other thing that helped us was that was right in 07, 08. And if we all remember what happened in towards the fall of 08 and 09, the economy just cratered.
Right.
Well, we lost the lawsuit before that. And so we were able to pare down our operations, and we were ready for the downturn. So
it's interesting. It almost, equipped you for other struggles down the road.
It's something that life is a bunch of lessons.
Yeah.
And you just got to learn them.
And you don't really learn unless you have to deal with those things that are hard.
That
it's like a little blessing in disguise. Expensive one.
Yeah, I would say uncomfortable situations are growing situations.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Man, that's wild. I don't think a lot of people have had to do that, or maybe they have. I don't know. But that's the first time I've heard about a big lawsuit like that.
Yeah, I would say everybody has difficult situations that they're going to have to overcome. It's just part of it, and that's just business, because you're going to face them at some time. I mean, they're just going to happen.
Yep. So, kind of going off of that, I like to look, to the future. What does growth look like for you guys as a company?
Yeah, we're in a really good spot. So, we're building a brand new paver plant.
Okay, where's that?
$20+ million plant, Jordan, Minnesota.
So you have one in Jordan, I thought.
We do, but we're building a second one.
Okay.
Yes.
Why two in Jordan?
Well, it's just the location, right there close to the cities.
Yep.
Our operators at that facility know how to run a paver plant.
I suppose.
So the labor there,
it's not a whole new staff that you have to train in a different location.
No, exactly. And we're going to probably have you guys come up there here.
That's awesome.
Towards late summer to film it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So it is already started then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because if you're going to be done, it's going to be that's been going for a while then.
Oh yeah. So we purchased it a year and a half ago.
Okay.
And so it's taken us this long to get here, but we're about halfway finished.
And you're really doing that just to keep up with supply then.
It's to keep up with supply, and then there's some new technologies that have developed that we're going to be implementing at that facility.
Is it easier to build a new and put that technology in than try to replace what you currently have in the...
Yeah, well, this new facility will give us 3 times the manufacturing capacity of our current plant. So
that's crazy. I was actually that's kind of my next question is just looking at your industry in a whole. How has technology been changing it? What does that look like now? And it's got to be exciting.
Well, yeah, I would say from the manufacturing side, our products are very labor intensive to produce.
Yeah,
they're heavy.
Very heavy.
So like this new plant, it's all touch screens. The operators have an operating room that they sit in, and when they need to change adjustments on the machines, they just press a button, the machine does it itself. Where our current machines, you have to go out and wrench them, and there's a bunch of work involved. What we're really trying to do is just take and make the labor side of operating our equipment easier on the employees.
Right. Do robotics change, a lot of what you guys are doing?
Yeah, a lot. We have, I think in our operation right now, we have 7 robots.
Wow.
So, and we're going to be buying more robots. They're just an important part of what we do. And if it can help an employee, we're all about it, just making their lives easier.
Yep. Do you ever get to be on like the forefront of how the next products are developed in technology? Are there companies that try to work with you or ask how do we change things or make it better? Or
yeah, on the manufacturing side, not really. I guess what we do is we have some partnerships with different producers like ourselves throughout the world. And we get together once a year, and it's a big win-win. As long as you're working with a company and you have a win-win attitude, right?
Yeah.
You're willing to teach them, then they'll be willing to teach you. And we just share what we think is cool, and then they do.
I love that.
And we learn a ton. I mean, and there's a couple of patented products that we're going to be launching with this new plant that have never been seen here in North America, and we're really excited about it being the first ones to produce these products for the contractors.
So how does a group like that start? I mean, worldwide. That's
right.
That's
how does it start?
That's a lot of connections.
Yeah. So, gosh, it started years ago. I was, I think it was like 2010. I was in Switzerland, traveling, learning. There's these polyurethane molds we use for our Silver Creek product, and we went to visit a producer that was making wet casts, because there's not a lot of manufacturers in the world that make wet casts. So it's a real niche thing. And I went to see this producer, and I just told him that, hey, I have this dream that producers like us would get together and just share information, because I'm not going to compete with you in Switzerland, and you're not going to compete with me in Rochester, Minnesota. And I had that conversation with one of the managers there. And that manager then went to the owner and told the owner about it. And then he actually came to the Mayo Clinic for some medical things. And so then I met with the owner. We had this discussion about, wouldn't it be great to do this?
Absolutely.
And we started the group then. And then
how long ago was that?
2000. It would have been 2011 that we would have had that meeting.
Wow.
Right around then. I can't remember the exact years, but
so it's been going for that long.
Yeah.
And every year.
Yeah. And now we have 10 or 11 companies that are members. We get together once a year.
Does it change kind of locations over the years?
Yeah. So basically,
that's great.
Yeah. So we were supposed to be the host during COVID, which obviously we didn't get together that year.
Yeah.
Was
that the group we made that video for?
Exactly.
Oh, yes. That's hilarious. I didn't even know that.
Yes.
Because that's why, they weren't.
We had to make that video because of COVID. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yep.
I didn't realize. Yeah, that was the group that couldn't make it here and see it.
Yeah. So we'll be hosting next year.
Okay.
Because we'll have our new plant done, and
that's awesome. I love that. I love that mindset, because that's. I mean, on a much smaller scale, that was something that I wanted to do here locally, and just, to start to do that over time, because just looking at business in general, but specifically locally, you see all the old guys grabbing coffee together, wherever they are, they're all over the place. In these little groups, and they have coffee every day, and they've been doing business every day, and, now they don't own their companies and stuff like that. They're, next generation, but just to see their relationships, how they've grown over the years, I was like, why aren't we doing that more and more now, as we're younger into business and stuff like that. So I've been trying to, invite people and stuff like that. And we just do a breakfast club every couple of weeks. It's just one of those things that we meet and we BS and talk to the town, what's going on, and it's just fun, because those are the things that I look at it as like, these are the next generation that will be running Rochester and the surrounding areas, and try to connect those people together. And so I mean, I love that concept, that mindset of we can grow more together, stronger, we can learn things, and but worldwide would be super fun. And you have some language issues. So we have a member from Spain that's a part of the group, Korea, Germany, Switzerland, a couple other countries, and there is some communication issues. Right.
And then marketplaces are a little different. But overall, we're all battling the same issues. It's funny. You go there, and last year it was labor.
Yeah.
And it was labor everywhere. Everybody's struggling with labor. It's just not a U.S. problem. It's a worldwide problem. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Because I know it's been big here for sure, but worldwide they're seeing the same thing.
Oh, it's been, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, and in our industry, we're all moving to automation just to help the worker.
Right. I mean, you have to, because that's another concept too. Like, we interview kind of farms throughout the Midwest for a company in Ireland, and the messaging that we hear time and time again is, why are you moving to robotics to do the labor? It's like, we can't find consistent help. That's their first option. Is they always want to bring in more people and stuff like that. But if no one wants to do the work, then you have to spend more money on the robotics and do it that way, because it's still got to get done.
Exactly. And we were more of that mindset 15 years ago. We just thought that, we would never have a labor issue. So we would have people do the tasks.
Yeah.
Well, now, people don't necessarily want to lift 120 pounds or 80 pounds. So we are definitely moving to robotics. Now, even though that might eliminate a worker or two on that side, because you won't need them to lift, you still need to, though.
Yeah, operate it.
Yeah, you still need the operator, which is a higher paid employee.
Yep.
And then you have the operator, and then you need to have a tech on hand that can fix the robot.
Right. Something goes wrong.
Yeah. So you still have people. It's just those. Yeah.
It just changes.
Yes.
Huh.
Yeah.
Have you been making, just a kind of a switch through the years, as you just upgrade stuff?
Exactly. It's more of that type of progression. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was fun to see just on the egg side. We walk in and there's this operating room basically with all the computers and stuff, and like, so where's everyone? Like, oh, it's like just me. I can just run everything from here in this room. Like,
on an agricultural company?
I was like, that's crazy. From like the milking to the feeding to the cleaning, just like systems in place and robotics. It was nuts.
Yeah.
And we saw just a ton of that happening. The other thing that I like to, chat about with owners too is, things that you've learned, over the years, experiences. And so I guess, from your perspective, we have a lot of business listeners and owners and, just entrepreneurs, people that want to keep growing and are just excited about growth in life. Looking back, what are some of those things that you've really taken away that have been impactful in that journey for you?
Yeah, I think, a few things. Don't take yourself too seriously. I think as a business owner, you go through phases, and so don't do that. I view myself as being replaceable, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
I'm big into hiring people that are smarter and better than myself, I think. And
were you always like that though?
No, I went through a phase where I think I had to do everything.
Yeah.
I wanted to try to control
I think
this whole
that changes, yeah.
Yeah, this whole thing. And then I realized that, geez, I'm just, I'm not that great at this. I don't want to say the word average, but yeah, I'm kind of average at a lot of things. And I need to have people that can just be better at it than me. And being willing to hire somebody that's smarter than you, I think it's hard for an entrepreneur to do, because it's kind of like your baby.
Yeah.
And you feel like you might be giving part of that up. But I can tell you, after you do it, it's just wonderful, because people are coming to you with ideas.
Right.
And some of the things you've thought about and some of the things you haven't, and they're able to implement them and do them. And your job then is just to support and cheer them on and to take away barriers. And that's becoming a big part of my job, and I just enjoy it.
Yeah, that's definitely got to come just with time and experience.
I think a lot of it is.
And learning.
Yeah.
Because I could also see the Jeffrey, coming out of school and just getting into it and going like, I'm the man. Let's get this done. I feel like we all have a bit of that.
You kind of do. I can remember my father sat me down once and he says, son, the next couple of years, I think he said this when I was 18, the next couple of years I'm going to get dumber and dumber. And he says, by the time you graduate college, a little after that, I'll be as dumb as I can get. And then he said, every year after that, I'll just get a little bit smarter and smarter and smarter. And
that's hilarious.
He was right. Yeah. I mean, you have to go through that period in life. Mm-hmm. And that's where I think it can be very hard for entrepreneurs or business owners if they have a lot of success early in life. Mm-hmm. I think if you have a lot of success in your 20s and 30s, you just always feel like you can do it. And that's where I think having success maybe a little later in life might be better, because you have all that hard work and you have those humbling experiences. I think it could be a little dangerous having success too early, because you might think the only reason you've had success is yourself. And the true reason you have success.
That's not good for anybody's.
No. And our business is successful today because of our people. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's our people that have driven our company and has turned it into what it is today. And I don't think you could recognize that at a young age.
Right. And that's, I'm fairly young for sure, just in general, and that something I've always tried to put emphasis on. It's just like learning. Just try to learn.
Yeah.
Try to, there's pride in your work and pride in your company, but then there's the personal pride that you have to sometimes, just don't let your ego, kind of control that, because, I think we've seen decent success in the last 5 years, but definitely couldn't have done it alone. And, but I love this kind of stuff too. I love learning. It's not even necessarily just like mentors, but it's just like people that have been there and give you the time and have tons of experience and stuff like that you can just learn from. And I've always been, pretty consistent on that kind of thing. I don't want to say I know everything. I just want to say, I know what I know, and then I know what I don't know.
Yeah.
And, I want to continue learning kind of thing.
Well, and I think that's a dangerous place to be. I mean, I definitely went through a phase where I wanted to know everything and I thought I could know everything. Yeah. And now I'm more kind of looking at it as I'm going to know some things, but I'm going to learn a lot from other people. Right. And being open-minded allows you to take in information, and then that information you can apply it. But if you have that know-it-all attitude, you're going to be too good. I mean, I could remember sitting in seminars where the speaker would come out, and the first thing I would do is I'm judging the speaker, right? Is this speaker capable to teach me anything?
Am I going to listen to this guy?
Exactly. Is this person, and I did that at times, and I think we all have. Yeah. And then I never got anything out of it, right? And it could have been the most wonderful talk, and now it's just coming to it saying, hey, you know what? I'm just a normal person. I'm here to learn. And when you take on that attitude, you'll soak in the information, and fine, maybe 98% of it you won't apply, but that 2% you take and you bring it back, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, you look at all the different trainings out there, and coaching and whatnot, and like you said, you could grab a tidbit that changes a huge part of your company.
Yeah.
It could have just been the smallest thing that you just implemented. It made a world of a difference. Mm-hmm. So I guess what would you tell people that would be earlier on, just in that the ego side of business, maybe, how do you try to, stay consistent with being more humble, learning, hiring talent that's even further than you, and even like letting go things. I struggle with that, letting go of everything in the company. Because when you start it, you do everything. And then you start getting more people and you start to spread that out, but it's still challenging, like letting it go because your name is attached to it. You have an obligation, you have a quality and a reputation. And so it's hard to just give someone that to trust them to represent it like you would,
Yeah. Oh, geez. I think, well, the first couple times you're going to do it, it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
That's just, I think, going to be natural because you want to do it.
Right.
But once you do it and you start seeing the results, and for me, what it is when the employee comes to you and they have those same similar ideas, but then they have their take on it, which is a different take than what you would look at. It's just taking that in and utilizing it and understanding that it has a tremendous amount of value. But it's I think the best thing, if I was talking to my 24, 25-year-old self,
yeah,
what I would say is, be open-minded. I think getting in a peer group is very important where you can, that's something I have right now is I'm in a group, it's called Vistage.
Okay.
And it's a CEO group. And I get together with this group of CEOs once a month and we just talk. So I think getting with the peer group is important because it is hard as a business owner. Sometimes it can be a very lonely spot because you don't have anyone sometimes to share your issues with, and you don't necessarily want to share it with your spouse because you don't want to bring those issues home. You just don't want to you just want to kind of shelter them a little bit from those issues, even though they might want to help you. You just don't do that. So I think it's really getting with people that you can share those experiences with, and it's being humble. I think it's hard to, I think you always need to remember that you're lucky. That even if you've had success at a young age, you were put in that spot. Somebody put you there that allowed you this success. Remember the people that did that for you versus taking the attitude that, I did this. It's just staying humble.
Yeah. Well, I love the group thing too, CEO, because that's, you can be around people all the time, which you are. The loneliness comes where nobody understands the things that you go through on a day-to-day basis. And that's where I think those groups really give you, that freedom of like, you can talk about everything and they kind of get it. They understand it. They've done it. And then you can, the advice part is just awesome. And
it's,
That's actually something that we joined C12 this year.
Okay.
And that's Christian CEOs, and they have kind of forums all over the world, but they started one in Rochester, and I've been doing that now for about 4 months, and it's been great. But I've always tried to have, some kind of group or mentor, and that's changed. This is probably like the fourth kind of group or mentor, and it's just in the stage of business where we're at. I'm less put my head down and get everything done, and how can we run a better business now? And a lot of that is people management, systems, HR, keeping your people happy and a better workplace, and all things that I didn't put a second thought into at the beginning. It was just like go, 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 go.
Yeah.
Get it done, dominate, be the best. And so now it's fun, for me even, I've always wanted to own a business, but everything's changed as you get bigger, because that guy couldn't run this company, and I have to further my knowledge and education if I want to continue to grow this, because we've never been at this stage. We've never done these things yet.
Exactly.
So it's a lot of fun to how the mindset switches, and even I see young guys getting into this kind of thing, and I'm like, that's great. You can do this kind of thing for a period of time and be very successful at it. And then it's going to evolve and it's going to change as you grow.
Mm-hmm.
Looking to a little bit just in technology, kind of as we wrap up. I like the internet. Obviously we're in video. There's social media out there. How are those things kind of changing how you guys operate and do business?
Yeah, so our main customer is the landscape contractor. And the landscape contractor takes our products and sells it to the homeowner.
Yeah.
So for us, social media isn't as intense as companies that are marketing to that end user, the homeowner.
Right, like those landscapers would be.
Exactly. Yeah. So what we use a lot of is we have a very large website that has a tremendous amount of information on it and pictures. We use LinkedIn.
Yeah, I love LinkedIn.
Yep, we're big into LinkedIn.
Yep.
We do some Instagram and some Facebook. It's a part of our business, but it's not necessarily a major part. Now, I will say, we have hired a marketing director that has some ideas on social media. So, we'll see where we go.
Comes. Yeah.
I do see it becoming more of a part. I also see quite a bit more advertising in the next couple of years, where we're going to go and bring outdoor living awareness to the masses more.
Yeah. No, I like that. I think I actually just put a post out about LinkedIn just on Facebook. I said, if you're in business or an owner, you should be on LinkedIn. I got very mixed reviews with that. Some people were like, well, all I get is people trying to recruit me and stuff like that, and just hate LinkedIn. And then you have the other people that are just all for it. But I really think it's like the business Facebook now. It's more people are on it. It's very active, and we've seen a ton of success on LinkedIn because it gives us even reach reaches people that we've never would know, otherwise and stuff like that. So I've really enjoyed just really going into LinkedIn more and more.
And I would, I think it's different strokes for different folks. I mean, you got to do what's best for your business and what industry you're in.
Right.
I like LinkedIn. I use it. And, but again, I can't say that that's the answer for everybody.
For everyone, yeah. And I think that was the primary thing too. If all your business is just done here, maybe it's not the best. What it's unlocked for us is everywhere out of here that we haven't been able to reach. Well, that's where we're getting connected.
Yeah.
And love LinkedIn. Well, sweet. We're just we're coming up on our hour here. I want to thank you again for coming on. I really appreciate it. And to then just those listening, we want to we just hope that you continue to stay motivated. And if you enjoyed this episode, remember to share it out. And we'll see you on the next one.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.